Hello, everybody. Jimmy Smith here from Wine with Jimmy. Thank you for clicking by. This is all about wine education here. So, if you are an enthusiastic amateur, you'll find a lot of the information in these videos, like grape varieties, wine regions, and so on, very useful. A lot of my videos follow key text and key syllabus of major wine qualifications. So if you are studying the world of wine, you will find these videos very useful. Here, I'm going to go through a video for the WSET, that's the Wine and Spirit Education Trust, Level 3. I'm going to go through Viticulture, and this is on just short written questions. If you do have any comments or questions of your own, please do pop them in the comments section below this video. So this video series is split into two parts. This part is a sample question to give you an idea of what to expect on my revision course on Wine with Jimmy. Part 2 is many more further questions around grape growing and viticulture, and this will give you a lot of practice and preparation for your examination of this level 3. That part 2, will only be available to those of you who subscribe to my e-learning platform over at winewithjimmy.com. You'll see on the right-hand side all of the major benefits that you will get if you do sign up. So over 100 hours of video content taught by me, 1,000 plus flashcards, 600 plus multiple choice questions, a huge library of short answer questions and in video format as well. You'll get full access for 1 year. There's also an online community forum where you can speak to other members and also pose questions to me and my team. And there's also an audio format that many people find useful if they are traveling, if they are on public transport or in the gym, I've heard as well. We have a podcast version, the audio format version as well. Okay, so lots to go through here. We're going to go through a sample question to give you a taster of what to expect in your examinations. Now, I create these questions and these answers to follow the WSET Level 3 syllabus. So everything is found within the text, and it's designed to help you understand what you need to be thinking about and what content you need to be creating for your answer. So it says here, you're a grape grower in Bordeaux, and Bordeaux experiences a moderate maritime climate. What is the major type of weather that affects this region all year round? So you'll see here, just for 1 mark, this is rainfall, the major type of weather. Of course, there will be cloud cover here. There is some spring frost, but that's only specifically a one part of the year. So we're talking about a weather pattern here. You could also argue that wind is an issue here too, but really significantly, the big one here for viticulture is rainfall. Now, the next part is a tabulated question where they have put the time in the season on the left-hand column and then the effect on the vine on the right-hand column. So it says here, explain the effect on the vine this weather pattern has at the following times, and this is for 8 marks. So this will be 2 marks per time in the season that you see here on the left-hand side. You'll see that it says here, early shoot and leaf growth, which is around March and May. If you do need further context for all of these times, please do look up in your textbook at pages 38 and 39. Flowering and fruit set, which is May to June, and this is in the Northern Hemisphere. Veraison and berry ripening, July to September, and harvest, September to October. So what does the rainfall have on the vine? What effect does it have during the early shoot and leaf growth? For 2 marks, this is talking about sufficient or adequate rainfall is important at this time to ensure good growth of the vine. So that is the growth of those early shoots and those leaves that will be forming before flowering. So this is very important. You need good water supplies during winter, and then you need decent water throughout these early spring times, March, April, and May. So that's quite understandable. We know we water plants in order to give them the water they need with the nutrients as well, in order to absorb them through the roots for growth in those annual plants that happen throughout the growth season. Next up is the flowering and fruit set, which is around May to June in the Northern Hemisphere. Now, as you see, my answer here is that cold, cloudy, and rainy weather at this time. So, of course, with rainfall is going to come clouds, and typically the temperature may drop a little bit as well. And all of these combined at this time can cause problems with flowering and fruit set. One is called coulure, that you'll see written there on your slide. This is where you have shedding of blossom. So this typically happens in more windier conditions, but rain will have an impact as well. So if you have very heavy rain, for example, it's going to knock the blossom out, it's going to wash it away, and there's not going to be successful asexual pollination of that plant. Okay. Now, the other one is milleron d'ange. This is unsuccessful pollination where rainfall, for example, has hit the pollinating flower and it's created an unsuccessful pollination. Typically, the flower will create a little tiny hard pea instead of something that grows into a grape. That will not grow successfully. It does not have seeds in it, and therefore it will need to be discarded in your winemaking process. Both of these will reduce yields. Now, if you are based in the United Kingdom, you will understand that in 2024, this year, that you'll find around June and July, which is flowering actually in the UK, it's significantly been affected by flowering due to the very heavy rainfalls we have had during summer months. Next up is veraison and berry ripening. This is July through to September. Now, adequate rainfall is needed to aid berry growth and ripening, but too much rainfall can cause excess vigor, detracting from grape ripening. So, what happens at veraison, which is color change? The grapes have, of course, swelled to a decent size, and then they will turn color into maybe green or coppery color or pink or purple or red, and they will turn that color. This marks the growth of sugar, the start of growth of sugar in the grapes. Too much rainfall at this time and into the berry ripening will mean that the vine will continue to put excess growth in play. So its energy is going into growing, which will detract from grape ripening. So you actually only want little bits of rain during this time, not excessive rain. So just little smatterings during the later summer months. And then the harvest, which is September to October generally. These dates, by the way, are general. There may be exceptions, of course. Excess rainfall before or during harvest can cause grapes to swell. Of course, this means the vine is certainly absorbing more water than it needs, and you'll find that the grapes can swell. This could dilute the juice, so they can get large, and that increases the water ratio to juice, therefore making it less intense. And also, probably more impacting is the damp conditions, because it's going to be warmer during this time, and then it's going to be fairly wet and damp, will cause increased disease pressure, such as mildew and rot, which can severely damage grapes, which need to be discarded, reducing yield. So you'll see there that there's fairly adequate amounts to write for each effect on the vine. 2 marks there will per section. I've probably put a little bit more in each, but it's to tell the story, of course. Okay, next up is in this area there is often cloud cover that restricts grape ripening. What can be done to by a grape grower in an established vineyard to maximize sunlight. Okay, so we have a vineyard which is established. So we're not talking about site selection, an aspect, an early stage of planning a vineyard. It's already an established vineyard. So what can a grape grower do to those existing vines to maximize the sunlight? Please make sure you read these questions. Many students at this point will start to talk about planning the vineyard, for example, vine density and so on, which cannot be done in an existing vineyard. So the grape grower will choose to train and prune their vines in certain ways. Here you'll see the grape grower will choose VSP, which is vertical shoot positioning. Now this will keep the canopy open and therefore maximize the amount of light that can enter that canopy, so the leaves that are left are able to absorb that sunlight and grapes will get direct sunlight. Okay, now I'm adding here, and I always add to my explanations in order for you to understand how the answer is actually formed, what's the context behind it. But what you see on the slide is what you need to be writing. If you are listening to this on audio format, of course it's a good idea to make a note to watch this later on. The next thing is talking about types of philosophies of grape growing. It says here that 2 vineyards are located here with differing philosophies. One vineyard utilizes conventional techniques and the other biodynamic techniques. Explain what will be employed by grape growers of both vineyards to combat disease pressure. And this is for 8 marks. So this is going to be 4 marks for conventional and 4 marks for biodynamic. For conventional, so conventional means the application really of anything to make sure that a crop is successfully harvested from that area. So this means that systematic applications throughout the growth cycle of man-made sprays called fungicides, including copper and sulfur-based sprays. So there's going to be regular systematic applications of fungicides, which will include things that are copper and sulfur-based sprays. That will be enough, certainly, to get you some good marks. Now, that also, the vineyard will be regularly pruned to open up the canopy to aerate the vines. Okay, that means that the air that comes through here, important for coastal areas, will actually help chase away a lot of the humidity, which will happen, a lot of the settling disease pressure. So I would say here, you'll get 2 marks for talking about the applications, and then 2 marks for talking about the work in the vineyard. Please, if you do have any additional points to add, pop it in the comments section below. It'd be great to hear from you. Biodynamic is next. So it's talking about how to combat disease pressure. We do not need to go into the lunar cycle, and we do not need to go into the kind of cosmology that's associated with biodynamic viticulture. This is more about the applications, the preparations. So homeopathic applications of preparations, otherwise called composting or composts, to help treat the disease pressure. That's enough to get you 2 marks. So this basically is the works of Rudolf Steiner and Maria Thun. And what will happen is that there are lots of different compost preparations, including lots of different types of things like herbs and lots of different flowers, which are utilized in compost and in teas, and then that is applied to the vineyard. That will help reduce, in the philosophy of biodynamic, help reduce disease pressure. Also, the same now as previously, the vineyard will be regularly pruned to open up the canopy to aerate the vines. So that means, of course, we have good airflow through here as well. Okay, so that's a sample question there, a good 15 minutes of it as well. Please do join me for part 2, where I'll go through the further questions, so even more associated to viticulture for the Level 3. That will include me talking through them as usual. That part 2, remember, will only be available to those of you who subscribe to my e-learning platform. That's over at www.winewithjimmy.com. Remembering, in that green box there, lots of extra goodies that you will have access to if you do sign up. All the lists that you see there from earlier, plus also things like exercises, maps, lots of great things to help you with your studies. If you do have any comments or questions, once again, please do get in touch by commenting on this video. But until next time, I've been Jimmy Smith. Ciao for now.